Hopefully you can hear me a little better this time. And Jenny also, because she'll be reading, if there are comments come in and questions, and she'll pass them on to me.
Hey, y'all.
And if you're having a hard time hearing or anything, let me know, and we can see if we can adjust it. You're looking at the picture that we're going to be doing. This one just started out as a practice piece, just to try it, and I liked how it came out, so I framed it. This is the printout of the one that we're going to do. I had a piece of leather cut already, so I had to enlarge it a little bit to get it to fit the length of the frame that I had cut out, piece of leather. You can see that this is taped together because the carvable area of the leather was 7.5 by 11. So I just took that pattern, put it in Photoshop, blew it up or enlarged it, and then printed it out. But I had to print it on 2 sheets of paper and then cut the bottom of one and lay it over the other to get it to register properly and tape it. So that's how I can print out and make patterns that are larger than the 8.5 by 11. Let me reset the camera a little bit. There we go. That was a little bit loose. Okay. You can see, I've got to change it just a little more. Because the arm was in the way. There we go. I've already traced the pattern on. You know, I did cut it already to try to save us some time, and beveled the border. The cutting, pretty much on everything, it was the standard 1/3 to 1/2. Around the doors and the windows on the church, I did not cut that deep. I cut shallower. On the corners, I didn't cut that 1/3 to 1/2. I cut lighter because that was an outside 45. On the pattern, I did change a few things. This one had a bush in front of it in the photo and a door. I'm just going to do away with the door and make it a solid back. And that's really the only changes that I've done to this. The bottom here will be stone, so we'll put that in when we get to it. And we'll start with the front, and then we'll work our way back. On the dirt road, because this is a dirt road through here, the grass is a little bit higher than the road because it kind of comes out and goes down. Some roads, the road is pitched and it goes into a ditch a little bit where the road's higher. That's not the case here. So I didn't cut that deep because I'm not going to bevel very deep. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a difference. And you can hear I'm not hitting hard here. Because I just want a little bit of antique to collect and show a slight difference. And this is the road going here also. So we'll do the same thing here. Just lightly bevel it. And then what I'm going to do is push. There's a very slight halo. I'm just going to mat that back just a little bit so that you don't see where the beveling stopped. The joint, or right here between the bridge and the dirt, it was even, so I don't have to worry there. The road, when it came in, came around and swung this way, and right here was the guy's driveway that went up to his house, so that's why it looks kind of weird. But with the dirt road, we want to give it a little bit of a texture, and what I've got here is just some 100 grit. It came off one of my belt sanders, and it works real good. I did try it out on a piece of scrap just so I could see the texture and how it would work. You can see right here, I did smooth it just a little bit because with the dirt roads, you're going to get a little bit of a difference in texture where the ruts are for the cars, where the tires have run. So all I'm going to do is just take this, put it down, and rub it. And you can see the textures coming in. Can you, let's see. There, now you can see it, where that texture rubs in. And you can use different grits also. You know, this is 100 grit. It's pretty coarse. But you can go down, you know, whatever. You know, I would recommend, you know, trying it out first, just to see if it gives you the look that you're going for. And you can even do this multiple times if you want, more texture. Along the bridge. To help with the tracks, you can take a modeling spoon and just come in and kind of smooth it out a little bit. And that, when it's antiqued and finished, it's going to kind of show a little bit the difference. And it'll be subtle. Next, we'll go to the grass right here in the bank. It does help to have some figure beveling tools. I'm going to use the figure beveling. It's kind of like the 933 that Barry King makes in the Jim Linnell Tree series, I think is what he calls it. And what I want to do is make this bank, and since it has grass on it, I want a little bit of a texture. I don't want it smooth. So I'm just going to come in and bring it back. And I'm just walking it to the side to give me that jagged edge. Once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and push back the back side of it to smooth it out a little bit. Because I don't want those halos and then I'll come back in and I'll just clean up this edge right here a little bit. With the grass in the bank on the, because this was grass, you can come in with the 917, the F917, and start making the texture. With grass, I start at the farthest away and work back because they layer on each other. You can also use, actually I don't think I'm going to use that one because the grass is a little bit too big for me. I'm going to use the 117, and we'll try it first. And all I'm doing is just walking it along. And I'm not worried about, you know, being in a nice line or anything. I want that irregularity. And then I'm just going to come down again. And work the next row. And this is going to be our first step. Because once we get the base laid out, then we'll come in and we'll put some irregularity in it. And you can go with the bigger one. This, the guy had mowed, so it was a shorter grass. So that's the reason that I'm working with the 117. 917, sorry. And this doesn't look like much, but when you look at a lawn, there isn't a whole lot in it. And I'm not being real neat either. And it, this does take a little bit. And also very, the power of you're hitting, so you can get a little bit of difference. Go. That would be the, come on now, focus for me. There we go. You can see the texture. The grass on the bank would be up a little bit, and that would collect the antique in a nice, non-uniform way. If you want to give it a little bit more variety, what you can do is take the Barry King, and you can just come in and just walk it on these points. Just lean it back a little bit and just kind of put some in sporadically. And that's going to give just a few places where the antique is going to catch a little bit more. And give you a little bit of variety in the grass. The next item we've got back is the bridge here. And it was a wooden bridge with, I want to call it the railing here, and then the support, and then you had some angled bracing that came up. So what we're going to deal with first is this first vertical support, and we'll just use a figure beveler that fits. We'll push this back. And I do turn my leather a bunch. And while I'm here, I'm going to do the top rail. Both sides of it. Then we'll push it back. Push back the front here, and I've got to bevel the very back of the railing. Push it back, mat it. I didn't want to hear that. That sound of a tool hitting the floor. Next, we're going to work on the angled braces. And these, they were like 2x10, or actually bigger than 2x, but they were about 12 inches across, so you only saw the top and the sides. And this will catch the antique. And they were fairly short, so I can smooth them out. And then we'll mat back the back side to the bank. And with figure carving, beveling and matting are the two most important things you're going to do. Then we've got this brace. And I'm going to smooth it back just a little bit. And you can do this with your figure bevelers too. Just lean it back just a little bit. Same thing here, we're just going to push it back just a little bit. These were the cross braces running this way underneath the bridge, so we'll take these and we'll push it back. And then these were like the vertical braces. We're just going to bevel behind them. You can also use a modeling spoon to smooth these back. And this will catch the antique. Might not look like much yet. Once it is finished, it does stand out real nice. I'll move this back. Here, the bank goes down, and then along the stream, there's this little landing where it goes down. So the bank to the stream, it does drape just a little bit, so we're going to push it back just a little bit. And here we're going to do some more grass work. And on this one, I'm using an old Craft Tool USA F928. It's just a real small 917. And we're going to do the same thing we did up top. And here, instead of using like the 933 from Barry King, I'm going to use a F9022, which is just a lined triangular beveler. I'm just going to come in here and just kind of randomly give it some, taller grass and break that bank a little bit more. Then what we'll do on the shore over here, I say shore, on the other side of the bank, we're going to double bevel this. So first, I'm going to come in and bevel this side. Then I'm just going to spin it around, and I'm going to bevel this side. And then we'll push back the halo again. Push back this side also. I've got to push back the bank also. On the bridge, right here was a curb where it came up. So we're going to bevel it down. Mat it back. Right here was where the grass and the bridge connected, so I'm just going to double bevel that just slightly. On the bottom, I can take the grass tool and I hate that. I put it up and I forget where I put it. I'll use this one. And I'll just kind of put like grass right there. On the bridge itself, it was wooden plank, so it's just the lines. You can take your swivel knife and you can add in some more planks. And that's going to vary how many you put in there. And then that'll collect the antique real nice. The water. The water, it just depends if you want a real smooth stream or is it fast moving. I just like kind of a meandering stream without much force behind it. So you can just come in and, you know, leave some, you know, where the water's flowing. Just kind of soften the edges a little bit. On this one, it was real slow moving. It was fall. It was just real gentle. Over on the left, we had some bushes in front of the bridge. So what we'll do here, and the bushes were pretty much up to the road, and they just kind of covered that whole area. You can use that same tool from Barry King to make the bushes. When I make the bushes, I work from the foreground to the back. So we had right here, and then we had another clump right up here. One thing I did forget, once we make the first clump, we want to push back the next one. So we make it look like there's more depth there. And that's what I'm doing right here. Then we'll go back and we'll start this next one. And on the bushes, it's up to you how they look. And if you have different uh, 933s, each one of them will probably have a different layout, tooth layout. So you can use it and use multiples. That's why I like having more than one, 933 or 925, because they're all slightly different. Now we'll push this one back. Go to the next layer. And on the outside of the bush, where that clump is, I do hit it harder. And you can use the corners of your stamp to make the bushes different. Then I'm going to push this back again. And this is what really takes a while. It's a slow process to build the scene. And one of the really nice things is the pattern that I made, you may decide I don't want any bushes there. Okay? You don't have to have any bushes there. Go back. And then push this back. I believe we had one more bush right here. And on that one, let's make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to use an F934. We'll push it back. And you can see the difference in the textures between the two. So we've got the bushes here. Now we need to deal with the bridge. So I'm going to start with the top rail here. And I'm pushing this back pretty good. Cross braces. Spin around. And then we'll do the bottom of the top rail. And I'm heavier where there is nothing behind it other than grass. And I'm lighter when I come across the vertical posts. Having multiple sizes of figure bevelers does come in handy when you're in these different areas. Smaller ones make it a little bit easier. right here is the corner, and it's an outside 45, so I'm not going to bevel that. Right here is a angled brace going down. And then the bottom of it and the bottom of the cross brace. Got that one. Okay, right here, side of the bridge. Now we're going to push those back. And the biggest thing is, so you don't have those halos. You want a nice smooth transition. Some of these can be hard to get to. Bigger areas here are pretty easy. And you just take a larger matting tool. You can push them back and clean them up real nice. And then on real small areas, you can come in with your modeling spoon. And smooth it out. And then we're going to put texture in here too. And then we're going to smooth this out, the cross brace going back. in the angled brace. So we've covered this portion of the bridge, and this is just the same as this pretty much, except you've got the cross brace right here. This would be you'd bevel this in a 45 since it's an inside 45. Same thing here would be a double 45. So we just take the beveler and then spin it around. Up here, we do the same thing. And we would push them back just a hair to clean up the halo. Same thing here. And then we would bevel the cross brace and then the verticals. I don't think I need to go over that since we did it here. Let's go over the tree. On the tree, I'm looking for a beveler that I put up. And I can't find the one I want. I guess that one will do. I'm going to bevel the outside of the tree. Smaller beveler and do the inside of the lens. Then I'll work on the tree itself. And this was just a little tiny decorative tree. So what I'm going to do is bevel around the outside of it. And we'll put some texture on it. I forgot what number this was. It's a leaf stamp, and it doesn't have it on the tool. But you can come in around the outside. rotate it. And it will see right there how it looks. All I'm trying to do is just leave the edges, and then we'll build the tree from the closest one. We'll do one clump of it, then we'll mat back the other, and then it's just leaving a texture. And that the texture is what's going to pick up the antique. And you don't have to use just one stamp on a tree. You can mix them up. And then we'll push back the outside. Then you can, let me turn it sideways. There we go. You can kind of see the texture in the tree. In here, in between the tree, I would mat it back. And there I would just use like a 98. 99. This one's a 104.2. Just to collect a little bit of antique to show. Let me get a smaller matter. The road here would be just the same as this. I would bevel slightly, and then put the texture in, and then the grass. On the building, let's do this one here. I'm going to bevel the edge of the building, and I'm, going back, pretty good. Here. Come up with the side of the building. Basement. Flip it to this side. On these old barns, the barn board, this would be set back, this lower section, this would be on top of this, so I'm just going to push this back just a whisker. On the eaves, we'll push this back. And I'm not pushing that hard on these. Then we'll do the same thing here. Then we go back and the eaves go back, and then they have the board that runs up against the roof here, the trim board, and we're going to push it back just a whisker. We'll do the same thing here. And then we'll push back the halo, smooth it out. on the attic vent right here, the window, we're just going to push back the frame. Just kind of blend it back. And then we'll go to the inside, because the louvers, which were wood, just kind of blend it back a little bit. And then when we get a slightly smaller one, and we'll put the louvers in. And all it is just using your figure beveler. And if you go from top down, your louvers will be at the right angle. Now we've got our louvers. We'll do the bottom. We're going to push back the wood because the wood is over the basement or the field stone. So we're going to push it back just a little bit. Then we're going to mat it back. We've got the window frame. And these I didn't cut as deep. Then the inside of the window. And it's that one figure beveler that I can't find is the one I want. back. And we'll push back, mat back the out around the window too. To push this back a little bit. And you may think it's being real picky on making sure to get rid of those halos, but they'll show up real bad. And I've had, some images that I've done that I thought they were good, and then I get to the point of antiquing, and all of a sudden they look terrible because of those halos. So I'm pretty particular on moving those back. Let me move back outside the building, since we're working on the building. The barn board, I just put in some reference barn boards, and you can fill in the rest. And barn board, it could have been whatever sizes they had, so there's no exact size. It's whatever you think looks good. So I'm not worried about making them all uniform. Same thing up top. I'm going through this pretty quick. Normally I'd be going a whole lot slower. Okay, we've got our barn board cut. But all barn board isn't real clean, so sometimes you have, pieces that are broken out. You might have, I'm going to clean up those bottoms. So it looks like the barn board goes all the way down. I'll do the same thing down here. Now with barn board and wood, you're going to find some of these boards have nicks in them. They've rotted. So you just come in with the edge of your knife and just cut them a little bit. You don't want a whole lot. But these boards have been up there for a long time.
If you made them straight, they wouldn't look right.
And we'll do the same thing on the bottom. So we've got our barn boards. Hopefully, sorry about shaking the camera. You can see our small nicks in the wood. That's going to show up. But barn board is real rough. It's a rough cut lumber that hasn't been planed. How do you help show that? Well, you use a hair knife. And you just come down. And draw. Don't worry if you wobble a little bit. Not all the grain was straight. And this will help give you that rough texture of an old barn. And you can use, this one's a wider one from Barry King. The nice thing is they come in different widths. Like this one is smaller, the lines are closer together. And it's not saying that you can't mix them up between wider and thinner, because not all grain is the same, and and just lightly, I'm not putting much pressure on it at all, because all I want is it just to scrape the surface just lightly. And I'm not, trying to be super straight with it. I like that wave. And don't be afraid sometimes to go over it a couple times. And up here, it's a little bit harder. Because of the eaves. That's why I'm going sideways, so I can see where this point is, so I'm not going up into the eave. The one thing you don't want to do is go over your window frame, because generally that would be finished lumber. I am leaning it on its side to try to get in these tighter areas. you can see it, how that makes it look better. We'll go to the door next. And that's just a board, barn board door that they put together. Thank you, Mama. And then we'll push it back. And to make the barn board, we're just going to take our knife, come down, and then we can just come up from the bottom. And we don't want to forget to chew the bottom, because this one would probably be beat up a whole lot more than the other doors. And we're going to put a texture on it also. Now we've got grass here, and we have the basement, the fieldstone. So before we go to the fieldstone, we've got some bushes right here, and I would have this done working back. This is an inside 40, inside 90, not 45. I keep going brain dead. So we're going to double bevel it. And then we'll push it back. Well, how do we do the fieldstone? All we do is just take our modeling spoon and we just come in and we draw them in. And there is no right or wrong on fieldstone. They're all different shapes. So all you're going to do is come in and cut them in. And they were real masters at taking, the stones and putting odd ones together to get a real nice looking foundation. And this is all you're going to do, is just go through and put in the stones. And that's how you would come up with your field stone. This barn would be the same way, except on this one you can see the roof a little better. So that would be shingles. So to do that, use your modeling spoon again. And if you modify it, you can do it. Not hard at all, because it's almost cutting. Okay. So I'm making the shingles, and then I'm just going to come in and come up randomly. What I don't want to do is have two lines going from going up through one row. I want to stagger them. And if you wanted to, you could take your modeling spoon and bevel in slightly on the point to help to show that the shingles are laid on top of each other. see if you can see that. Yeah, there you go. It does look real good when you do that up through. On the bottom window, on the barn, I just make sure that it's smoothed out real good. And the window's a little bit too small for me to bevel in the panes. So I just use a modeling spoon or a knife and just come down and mark in my panes. It'll collect antique and it will look pretty good. And we'll do the same thing on the church. Okay, let me do this part of the building so I can push back to the church, and then we'll start on the church a little bit, because that's a little bit different, because these buildings were barn board. The church is clapboard, shiplap, clapboard, whatever you want to call it. Smaller one. Now let me push back. Where the church is. On the church, this was a bank right here, a grass bank, the steps, the two doors, and you had here the rock foundation. So on the door frames, we're going to do it the same way we did these. We're going to push them back. And I'm not pushing hard. I cut these light too, because they're trim boards. They're just barely above the siding. The door, I will push back a little bit more. Because they were pretty deep. smooth them out. And then I'll take my modeling spoon and just make sure that it's nice and clean. Because I want this to be nice. And these were like a 4-panel door. Well, you may ask, how do we come up with the 4-panel? Good question. We're going to take a beveler. Need a smaller one too. So that'll work for, there we go. On the bottom, I still want that one. We're going to take the beveler. We're just going to push in, come up, push in, spin it around, push in, then we'll come over to this side. And then take our modeling spoon and we're going to close the ends off. Spin it around. Now we have our 4-panel door, and we can put our doorknob or handle. The windows would be pretty much done the same way as these windows. Just pushing this back. Well, since this is clapboard, how would you show clapboard at this distance? Well, you're going to kind of do it the same way you did here. You're going to take your hair blade and you're just going to come across giving it the hint too. Because at this distance, you couldn't see it real well, especially with the sun shining on the church. But do you see how that, and here you want to be nice and straight, so that the clapboard is level. You don't really want wavy. So let me do this part here, and then we'll do some trees up here. And that's the thing, once you learn the steps, all this is just repetition. I do push these areas back real hard. Since there's a bigger distance, I really work those pretty with trees, again, you want to work from the foreground to the back. Look. There are different stamps. You can see this one. Generally, the closer the tree is, the bigger the leaves are. But most of these are a decent ways back. But what we're going to do is do the edge of the first. Let's see if you can see. Yeah. We'll do the outside edge. And we'll push it back. Then you can just come in and bring it back. got all these different ways that you can use it. So we've got our first tree in, and with this one they were far enough away you really didn't have any tree trunk, so it's all just the top of the trees that we're dealing with. And on top of that, you know, you had evergreens, you had deciduous, you know, maple, oak, take your pick. It was just a mishmash of trees, birch. So I try not to use the same tool, so that I can kind of give the impression of different trees, because different trees have different leaves. So. And what we're doing is just building it from the foreground to the back. And the trees, it's up to you how they look. You can see we started with this one, and then we went to this one, so they're going to be step back. And we'll go to the next one. And we'll use a different stamp. There's no right or wrong on how you build your trees. But pushing them back, so you get that layered look. Is what's important. We just keep repeating this process, you know, going back. pine tree. They're a little bit different. Than some of the ones you see out west, or at least that I see in pictures. Kind of more Christmas pretty. And what I'm going to start with is this tool. And I'm sorry again, I don't know the number. I'm just going to just come down. How did I do it? Let's try this. Remember, because I don't use these that often. Let's try it. Go to the other one. Want to make sure I've got the right one. nice thing about the pines we had is they were swoopy down. You can kind of get away with I'll go come in, clean up the outside. And then you can come in with the 902. And break the edges. Same thing over here. You can add more texture or less. I've used that one. I've used that one. Smaller ones up top. I've used that one. By running it upside down, point down. Any questions? We've covered a lot. If you do have any questions, put them down in the comments and we'll try to answer them. I'm going to continue working on this. May have it done in a few days and I'll post it when I'm done. Thank you for joining me. Have a blessed day and happy tooling.